Hey everyone, welcome to the strategy session. I'm Sam Osterhout. I'm the executive producer here at Lincoln Square. And we've got a couple of big hitters from the Lincoln Project with us tonight, sluggers, if you will. Fan favorite, Jeff Timmer. Hey Jeff, how you doing?
Nice to be here.
And good to have you. And Chief of Staff, Ryan Wiggins. Hey Ryan.
Hey.
As a note, right as we were just getting ready to go live just a second ago, we went dark, and so there may be some technical problems. I just want to give you a heads up. I also want to say this show strategy session is for paid subscribers only. So you guys are the elite here, and I would love to take your questions in the chat. So I will be monitoring the chat and trying to keep up. Okay. So I want to talk first about, are you guys frozen? All right, hold on. Let's see what happens here. This is probably Trump. Jeff, are you there? Oh boy. Well, if we get them back, we're going to talk about the parade. We're going to talk about protests. And we're going to talk about GOP infighting and just the week of craziness. Jeff, are you there? Guys, we're going to have to stay tuned until I get these guys back. So, is that right, Tammy? Hey, Josh. Josh is in the chat. What does everyone want to talk about tonight? I would like to know while we're here, just in case these guys can come back. Did y'all go to protest this weekend? Josh, I think it might be a Substack issue. Melissa, where'd you go? Where was your protest? Kimberly, how was Dallas? Yeah, Josh, I saw pictures from New York too. Oh, I think I have Ryan almost back. Wait until okay.
Hey, we're gonna try this with my phone instead of my computer.
What is going on? It's so crazy. Last week we were trying to go live and it just shit the bed like altogether for like.
I mean, I don't know. Jeff and I are at the same hotel in Chicago right now, up here for some donor meetings, and we're both keep getting booted. So I'm going to try it from my phone and see if that helps, and it's better that way.
Perfect. Well, fingers crossed.
That's what I using my hotspot to overcome my Wi-Fi issues.
So weird because I don't know. Well, in any case, I was doing some crowd work while you guys were.
You got them all warmed up for us?
I got
a little jazz hands.
Yeah, we're all good.
All right.
Kimberly was, Kimberly, where'd you say you went to protest? Oh, Dallas. Dallas was hot. Philadelphia was hot. New York was hot. Now, Jeff, I understand this was your first protest. So my first question is, what? How was this your first protest?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Republican my whole professional life, so
right.
We don't do a lot of public displays, and I mean, I guess despite what you've seen in the last 10 years, the mewling and whinging of Republicans under Trump is a lot different than the Republican Party I was part of, and I would sit in my ivory tower near the state capitol and watch the great unwashed protesters. But, I'm kind of going through late stage adult onset hippiness or something.
You're a hippie.
No, it was great. This was a moment that called for it. And there were a lot of people I would expect to see at protests, and people around. It was near the Capitol in Michigan is near Michigan State University. And there's been the same crowd who've been protesting since the 60s around campus and around the state capitol. They were there. But there was a whole lot of people, including people who, as I was hearing them talk and talking to them, this was the first time they've ever come out to be part of something like that. And it really is the enormity of the moment, a sense of this is a time in history where people are going to ask, what did you do? I know what I've been doing for the last 10 years. As of Monday, I've been fighting Trump. But most people live their lives. They're not political, but they got up off their not just their couches, but away from their Saturday plan. Nice Saturday, 80 degrees. Got the Great Lakes all around us in Michigan, and they were out at the state capitol, and they were out in there was like 40 some events around the state,
right,
and estimated to be more than 25,000 people across these events at least. I mean, that's a very conservative number, and that's more than you had at the parade.
I mean, that's massive, and it felt like I got really emotional at Ryan,
yeah. I mean, I live in Pensacola, Florida. Most of y'all know that. That is Matt Gaetz territory. He was my former congressman. That is heart of Trump country. I am surrounded there. And I walked up. So we had two in Pensacola this past weekend. And I walked up to one. It was at Graffiti Bridge, which is a landmark, but it's also the way out to the beach. And it was Saturday morning and it was beautiful. And so I walked up to that and I expected I was at the one in May and there were a lot of people there, but I got just super emotional when I walked up and I saw the number of people there in Pensacola, because, and you never know. I mean, the Moms for Liberty is just one county over, and the Proud Boys have a chapter just one county over. And so you never really know what to expect when you go to a protest in Pensacola. What I didn't expect that I saw were a lot of Pensacola's movers and shakers, like, that old Southern society thing where you don't expect those people to really show up to these kinds of things because they kind of feel like they're, it's a little below the brow for them. I was blown away by how much support there was in the community. I had Republicans out there. There were Democrats, there were independents. We had veterans. I mean, we had people, the law enforcement was helping us and was protecting us. It was incredible. And it just, to participate in something like that. This was not my first protest. The first one I ever attended was in Washington, D.C. back in 2005. I think there was an Israeli-Palestinian protest, and I went to just see what it was all about. And like Jeff, I was always a Republican. I think the first one I ever attended as, a protester was after Parkland in Tallahassee.
Right.
And, it is just, I tell people all the time, if you've never done a protest, you really need to go do one, because this is not something that is allowed in every country across the world. And it is inspiring. I mean, to be able to speak truth to power and to be able to stand up to your government is a right that not everyone gets. And so to be able to go and do that and to see it so nonviolent, and where I was, people were blowing bubbles, they were handing out free waters. I mean, it's what America should be. And I lost some friends because I went to this protest, and my take on that was, if you have a problem with me exercising my First Amendment right and encouraging others to do so, then I'm not the one with the problem. And so, it was very, very inspiring. And I know that so many people watching this participated, and thank you for being a part of it. Like, that was just, it did my heart so good. We beat the 3.5% rule. And that's pretty impressive. Yeah. I think the final count was something like 13.1 or something million people took to the streets, compared to 8,000 plus at the parade. Like, that's America delivered, and that was something to watch.
Plus. Well, I think, I was telling you in the green room, my little town in upstate New York, we had 5,000 people, which represents about 20% of the entire population. I got also choked up because it is the foundational collective action, right? It is the collective action that our country was built on. Show up at the tavern, get together with your friends, work this shit out, and then hit the streets.
Peaceful assembly. Yep.
So I wonder if that, having been behind the scenes of all of the shows we've ever done on Lincoln Square, the biggest question that gets asked in the chat is, what do we do? And this was one thing, and it feels like
a huge thing.
Do you feel like, I mean, look, a mass protest isn't going to put our pieces back together, but do you feel like this is a pivotal moment?
From my perspective,
go ahead,
Jeff. You first. No, you first.
Well, yeah. I'm hesitant to say. I mean, I guess I'm hopeful that it is, but we've had so many, not moments exactly like this, but there's been so many times in the last 10 years, and since Trump was elected in 2016 and assumed office in 2017, where it's like you get that now where the fever's finally, I can see a path for it to break, and then it doesn't. So I guess I'm not going to hold my breath that the spell that he has cast over a segment of the political right and the neutering, like a good pet owner, that he's done to the rest of the Republican Party is going to break. Though we are seeing some other signs of that, and we can talk about that. The fight that we're seeing between Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, and the Steve Bannons of the world, and a lot of the right wing MAGA influencers online who are freaking the fuck out about what's going on in Iran. There's like a convergence right now. The last week it's been a torrent, a fire hose of holy shit. That was only a week ago when I stopped and think about it. So maybe people are finally tired of this. And, after 10 years, the same shit every day, with the stakes getting higher and higher, and we realizing we don't have much of a net below us. We're out on the high wire. Maybe Americans have had enough.
Well, it does feel like, I was having this conversation earlier that in a campaign, Trump seems great. Not to me and not to any of us, but maybe to his base. But when the rubber hits the road and when you can see the cliff, it's not very far away. You're about to go off the fucking edge of it. The practicality of this chaos hits a little harder. Ryan, talk a little bit about that. I wanted to get to the GOP infighting as well, but it seems like that infighting is that about really bad policy, really bad moves by Trump, or is there a power struggle, or is there a
there's so much ego right now in the Republican Party. I mean, the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene got into a fight about who was more MAGA, like, what in the hell is going on? There is definitely a power struggle inside of the Republican Party right now. There's definitely two different puppeteers trying to control Donald Trump, and they're fighting over it. And I think that sometimes he goes one way and sometimes he goes the other way, because that's what populists do. But yeah, man, this infighting is making our job easy, because what they're doing is showing just how toxic that party is. When you're eating your own, it's never a good thing.
No, not at all. And Jeff, I wonder, look at, the Trump administration, all the Trump years have been strung together 1 hour at a time, or one truth or one tweet at a time. Is this building to something broader that we could actually fight against? I mean, or is this just another, detour in the soap opera?
The thing about Trump, that those of us who've been studying him and following him and fighting him 24/7, 365 for the last decade know, there is no strategy, there is no plan for anything. There's no even thinking about the next hour, let alone the next day or the next month or the next year or the next decade. All Trump lives for, he's like, just the id of the brain, just the part, the hedonistic id that just comes to, it just wants to, satiate itself in its greed and its avarice every moment. That's all he lives for. And the rest of the Republican Party, I mean, there's a whole lot of now elected Republicans. It wasn't as many 10 years ago. There were a few MAGAs. Now, most of the elected Republicans are, I would classify as MAGA. They're true believers, but the non-true believers, those people who still recognize right from wrong, even if they're afraid to do something about it, have to be made to fear us, the people who will vote in a November election, more than they fear the Republican base and the Trump retribution machine in a primary. That's the rock they've been between for a decade. That's the friction we need to keep. We need to make them more afraid of us. Whether it's Tom Barrett in a contested congressional seat in Michigan, or Don Bacon in Nebraska, or any number of folks in congressional Republicans in California and Iowa and Virginia, in Wisconsin, as long as if they feel that this Medicaid cuts are going to be something that blows back when rural hospitals in their districts are closing, that's going to cause them to lose their election. That's ultimately what's going to move just a handful of them. We're not going to see some kind of like dam break and it's like a balloon popping or anything like that. The air is going to go out of MAGA slowly, but it's going to go out because it's just not sustainable. This kind of personality cult isn't sustainable over a period of time, especially when it just doesn't deliver, when it's all jazz hands, when everything Trump has touched his entire life has turned to shit. Everything he's touched since he's president has turned to shit. He's doing that. Oh, he's only been in office for 4 months. It seems like another 4 years. Everything's turning to shit. It's going to keep turning to shit. And people are going to say, maybe the guy who told us to, inject bleach and, shine lights in our nether regions doesn't have any idea what he's doing when it comes to Iran or global trade or, even ordering lunch. I mean, you can't, Trump's not competent to do anything.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. And I wonder, by the way, did you see that ivermectin is, they call it MAGA aspirin now because everyone is still
I did not see that. That's happening.
Yeah. That's amazing. But I wonder, obviously our timeline is something out of Interstellar because a million years have gone by, but we've only aged 4 weeks or 4 months or whatever. The midterms are an interminable amount of time away. Where do we stand now? What, I mean, I'm going to get to a quick fire question for you guys later about this, but about who would you run for office. But I just want to get some sense about the picture for what we're looking at for the House and the Senate in 26. Do we have any reason to be hopeful? I mean, I know that there's an exhaustion that comes with the chaos, but does that translate at the ballot box in the Trump years?
I mean, I think that's what we're hoping for. I mean, that's what Lincoln's going to be working for. We believe very strongly that we can turn the House next year. And so that's the goal. In fact, we're in the process right now of ranking those races and seeing, which ones are the most valuable, which ones, are the most winnable, where can we play and where can we have the most impact. So, I mean, yeah, we absolutely believe that that we can get the House. And if we can get the House, we can get the Senate in 2 years and we get the White House back. I mean, if we get the House, it essentially ends President Trump's presidency because any appropriations, all that has to start in the House. So, I mean, that's the goal. And I think that, I mean, to the point we were talking about earlier, these protests, they're not going to change policy. They're not going to change people's minds. But what it does do is it shows other people who are in the exact same place that we are, that they're not alone and that there is movement in numbers. And that we can make these differences because we clearly have the numbers with us. We just need people to show up. I mean, People asking all the time, they ask us all the time, what can I do besides, give money to Lincoln? How else can I be involved? Show up to these protests. 5 calls is great. Obviously share all of our content. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that we can do. We are seeing people fired up again. I am seeing people, we went 4 years where no one really wanted to weigh in on politics on social media, or, like Facebook kind of went, I don't know about that anymore. And you're starting to see people come back fiery and not putting up with crap. Jeff is one of them. I love following Jeff on Facebook. He is constantly calling out the shit, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. If you guys
I've taken some of my Twitter over to Facebook, and I've woken up some of my parents' friends who I'm friends with on Facebook, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I don't know that we can talk to you anymore."
Yeah, that happened to me this past week too.
Yeah, I think though that people should be very encouraged. I mean, I wrote a piece about this for Lincoln Square a couple of weeks ago. That where there are smart Republican operatives, pants are being shat right now. History says, and it's almost to an election, that the party in power in the White House loses significant numbers in the House, loses significant numbers in the Senate, and that's with all kind of normal. Right, when you have normal Republicans versus normal Democrats, the party in power, gets kicked in the balls when it's that midterm election.
Yeah.
When you have this psychotic ape in the White House that's just flinging turds every day, on top of that normal historic hurdle that's out there. Yes, look at in 2018 we had a massive landslide or wave election. In 2022, when all the indicators were that Biden, Biden's in the White House, the Democrats are going to retract. They didn't, because Trump asserted himself into that election as the kind of the party leader in exile, ready for his comeback. You had the Dobbs decision. So I call that the second Trump midterm, even though he wasn't in the White House. And the Republicans eked out a very narrow victory in the U.S. House that year, but Democrats won nearly everything else up and down the ticket in most of the states. And I would rather be the Democrats next year with the wind at my back than the Republicans with the wind in my face, counting on Trump to somehow pull them across the finish line. He can do that in a primary against other Republicans, but he can't do it when he has to actually defeat Democrats. Right.
I mean, I think that's a great point. S. Bearfield in the chat has a question, and I want to preface this question with, speaking of midterms, specifically, there's political assassination that's happening. This is an incredibly dangerous time. We have armed forces patrolling our cities now. The protest was a amazing moment of exuberance, but in the face of so much violence and opposition and all of this. So S. Bearfield asks, also, do you think Mango Mussolini is gearing up to declare martial law in order to avoid the midterms taking place, or any tactic he may employ in order to mess with or basically cancel the midterms? And I telescope that question out a little bit. Is there going to be any fuckery? What do we, and it's not like we can do anything about it except fight, right?
Yeah. But yes, there will be fuckery. Absolutely, there will be fuckery. I mean, nothing's off the table with a guy who tried to overthrow our government to keep himself in office.
It's happened before.
Right.
Yeah,
happened before.
The past is the precursor of the future. So that Trump won't give up power. Now, when you look at the declaring martial law, canceling elections, that didn't happen. That's never happened. It didn't happen during the Civil War.
Right.
It hasn't happened during any other time in U.S. history. There's no cause. There's no precedent. There's no occasion that would precipitate a legitimate canceling of elections. It doesn't happen in a free democratic republic like we have. Doesn't mean he won't try. Doesn't mean that they won't try to increase the military presence like we're seeing in Los Angeles right now. One of the things they're trying to do is normalize that happenings. That was only like 10 days ago that started. So how long ago does that feel, right? And so now, because there's 1,000 other things that have happened in the meantime, but he's threatening to do that in other cities, only blue cities, as he said on Truth Social, in Chicago and New York and Detroit and other places.
Right.
Having an election with troops in the street in historically democratic minority population cities, that is a voter suppression act, even without a declaration of martial law or a canceling of the election. It's kind of the intimidation. I mean, that's kind of like Jim Crow kind of intimidation. That's one thing we see. The last time a president federalized the National Guard without the approval and assistance and request of a state governor was in 1965. With the Selma March, George Wallace. And the difference now is you have Trump playing the George Wallace role, and the rest of the administration, like the Bull Connors and the other folks, they've switched polarity here, and the segregationists, the Jim Crow, segregation forever folks, are in charge of the federal government, and the states are trying to defend their citizenry from that oppressive federal government, not the other way around.
So Ryan, how do we proceed? Understanding that, it sounds conspiratorial. It sounds crazy that, but Trump is capable of anything.
He is capable of anything. And you know what? The American people are capable of anything too. And the thing that you have to remember is, listen, the constant barrage of news that is exhausting. Okay, like Jeff said, it feels like it's been 10 years since the federal government invaded California. It hasn't been. Okay, that is a feature, not a bug of this administration. They want to wear you down. They want you to get to the point where you can't pay attention anymore and you've lost your fight. Put it down. I mean, you know what? Put it down and pick up a book from time to time and escape it, because he will wear us down if we are focused in on this every second of every day for the next 4 years, for the next year and a half. I mean, it is exhausting. I know because I've talked to Jeff about it. There are days that we're both like, I am going cross-eyed, way too much news today. So, I mean, that's the path forward, is to be aware, but not obsessive. The path forward is to be involved, but also to take care of your mental health, because the whole point is to break us down, to wear us down. And we can't let that happen.
Yeah, my mom used to say, you can be afraid, but you can't use fear as an excuse.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
You turn that fear into
mind-altering drugs get you through the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And also alcohol.
No kids. You got to be 21.
Yeah. I think we're safe on that. Well, guys, I want to say thank you for joining. And sorry to the audience for the technical difficulties earlier. It happens. We will. We'll be back next week with no gremlins, I promise. I can say that because I probably won't be the host, so you'll blame the host. Don't forget to subscribe to Lincoln Square. We have so much content, and we're doing this work. We might be afraid sometimes, but we're not using that fear as an excuse, just like my old mom used to say. With that, again, Ryan, Jeff, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
See you, everyone, on Lincoln Square. Thanks.